very, very close to a climate collapse.
Our love for fashion has helped create an environmental crisis. We manufacture more than 100 billion items of clothing every year to dress the next 6 generations. Here in the UK, clothes are worn on average just 10 times before being discarded, and that's adding up to 350,000 tonnes of clothing sent to landfill every year. This culture of excessive consumption and extreme disposability is unsustainable.
One day I was in my kitchen and I was listening to an environmental scientist talk on the radio, and what he said was actually it was frightening, it was quite disturbing. And then everything really became a reality from that moment, and I just thought I have to act. What can I do to help, prepare future generations for the challenges that are probably going to lie ahead as well?
The traditional fashion cycle used to work on 2 seasons, so autumn, winter and spring, summer. Now we have, in some cases, 50 to 70 trends being dropped over a 1-year period. So it's fueling just this mass consumption that we just don't need. And we also know that a lot of millennials and Gen Zs think that an outfit is deemed old when it's been worn 1 or 2 times.
I'm inspired by 1930s, 40s, mostly. I went through a lot of different styles, from pre-punk, kind of do-it-yourself, finding clothes and altering them, maybe finding a coat and cutting the back of the coat and going around the zip and creating this mad short coat. I started off from an artistic point of view and putting attachments like clocks and dials. But then I've got more interested in fabrics, and that led me to the style that I like now.
I remember as a child and teenager being very interested in my grandmother's clothes and just go to her room and open the dresser and try the gloves and try the hat. Fashion is always cyclic, isn't it? So in the 60s, there was a big revival of the 20s. So I guess that there was always people interested in vintage.
When I was at school in the late 80s and 90s, there was a stigma attached to having second-hand. People born in the early 2000s, they've grown up with vintage shops and online stores selling vintage clothing. It's part of mainstream. We're a wholesaler and retailer of vintage clothing and remade clothing and sustainable fashion. We've processed around 20,000 kilos per week of clothing, and that's just scratching the surface of what's actually out there.
So it's completely deconstructed and cut as if it was like a flat fabric garment. So obviously constructing the collar, it's got some of the branding from what it were originally, I think from the sleeve, and then we've got obviously put trims on it, so we've got reflective piping and different zips, which is also reversible. So then for the lining we'll use a shirt, and then we've got a sort of inner placket what's from actually jeans. So it's a good opportunity to put different fabric in as well and use up, damaged jeans.
I source fabric from like antique dealers, stuff that's like old, like stuff that people want to throw away, or they think, oh, this is like, it's crap, or there's something wrong with it, or there's rips.
This is French Matisse. It's like a linen cotton mix. Must be like 1920s, maybe a bit older. The quality of this fabric doesn't exist. It does exist now, but it's quite hard to find.
I started my hair journey 3.5 years ago now. I'd watched the massive boom of the sharing economy, and I really believed that the next logical step would be to rent your wardrobe. You can actually monetize your wardrobe, sharing clothes within the wider hair community. And on the flip side, you can rent amazing contemporary and designer fashion for around 15 to 20% of the RRP, so it's super affordable. There is no question that we need to slow fast fashion, and actually what we want to prove at Her is that you can have access to clothes without having to own them, and that's a big consumer shift but also brand shift. And I think one of the most exciting kind of innovations in our space is that brands are trying rental for the first time, and we're proving to brands all day every day that rental's not a tick box sustainability exercise, it is a revenue driver for a business, and that is the way that the world should go. According to Wrap UK, extending the lifespan of one garment by 9 months can reduce its environmental impact by 20 to 30%.
I think people must be getting to the point where they realise they've got loads of clothes in their wardrobe and most of them they're not wearing, and that maybe we should start doing something about this.
I guess for me, it's a lot about not washing them too much. I often wash on like 30 or like a quicker setting just to use less water.
You can use special, I think they're called guppy bags inside the machine. You can even get special filters now so that the microfibres don't go into waterways.
Use less chemistry that is biodegradable, an eco-label. Use less water. You know, you really don't need to use 50 litres per kilogram. It's nuts. You can use settings on washing machines that bring that down. The temperature is the absolute kicker. Increasing from 40 degrees to 50 degrees increases the amount of degradation of the clothes by up to 6 times, just 10 degrees.
You can upcycle anything, you know. If you've grown out of something, I've made plenty of my dresses or skirts bigger. It's not that hard to do.
It's just about showing different ways and showing that there's alternatives and interesting stuff to look in the past, and and just enjoy it.
You buy it, you wash it, you repair it, you rewear it, you repair it again, you rewear it again, and it keeps its life cycle.
We're just at that kind of inflection point where it's going to rapidly increase to the point where people are much more conscious of their impact. They wash sustainably, they buy sustainably, they use sustainable services that are truly, or at least very close to net zero. So I'm super optimistic.
If everyone starts upcycling like we're doing, then all of these fashion companies, they might try and upcycle the things that they've done.
I think the next generation are pretty scared, and like our generation are pretty scared, so are all trying to take baby steps, but it relies on everyone taking those baby steps, I guess.